welcome to Stash Chats. My name is Yvette and I'm the co-founder of Stash Hub, the sewing organizer app. So every week I have the pleasure of talking to a different member from the sewing community about how they got into sewing, what they're up to, and of course their stash. So it's really fun to get to hear everybody's different stories about why they love sewing so much and what's happening in their sewing rooms right now. So if you are watching live, please do pop into the chat and say hi. Let us know where you're joining from. So I can see we've already got Jan in London who's watching, and Jan is looking forward to hearing from Suzy. So for today's chat, we're going to be chatting to Suzy, who was a semi-finalist on the Sewing Bee last year. So I'm sure a lot of you guys will already be familiar with Suzy and her incredible creativity. So we'll get her on for a chat in a minute. So start thinking about if you've got any questions that you might want to ask Suzy, you can pop them into the chat as we speak. Hi to Natalie, who's joining us from York. We've got just a couple of Stash Hub updates for you today. So the first one is that signups are still open for Sew Sorted, which is the free 7-day course that I'm running from the 15th of September. So I'm going to take you through how to organize all the different parts of your stash. So your patterns, your fabrics, your notions. We're going to talk about destashing, everything like that. So there is a link right down at the bottom of the description of this video on YouTube if you want to check that out. And that also lines up really well with the London sewing swap that I'm hosting with Bonella Fabrics in London. So do grab your ticket for that on Eventbrite. So that's also linked up in the description as well if you fancy coming along to that and rehoming some of your unwanted sewing supplies. So that is the Stash Hub news for this week. I can see Lovela's joined us from London as well. So hello, welcome to Stash Chats. So yeah, let's get a little introduction going for our guest this week. So today I'm going to be chatting to Suzy, who absolutely wowed us all on the Sewing Bee last year. She came up with some incredible creations, some amazing ideas, and it was just so good to see so much creativity from Suzy and so much self-expression in her own outfits as well. So yeah, Suzy has been doing loads of sewing since the Sewing Bee. She even made her own wedding dress, which was a kind of bit of a trial and error and a bit of problem solving with that project as well. So let us know if you want to hear a bit more about that project that she did, alongside also making loads and loads of bridesmaid dresses and getting ready PJs as well. So that was quite the undertaking. So yeah, we've got a lot to learn from Suzy, I think, about problem solving and creativity and staying true to yourself. So let's get Suzy on and find out all about how she first got inspired to start sewing and what she's up to now. Hi, Suzy.
Hi, you okay?
Yeah, I'm great. Thank you so much for joining us on Stash Chats.
No, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Do you want to just kick us off by telling us what made you first start sewing and when did you get into it?
Yeah, so it'll be 4.5 years ago now since I got my sewing machine. And I've just always been into fashion, style, clothes, whatever you want to frame it as. I don't really like saying fashion because if I'm being completely honest, I've never followed fashion in terms of I've never watched all the catwalks and read Vogue. I've just been into style. I'd say more than anything, experimenting with clothes. So yeah, 4.5 years ago, I always beat myself up for it because I was on furlough for 7 months and didn't sew. I just played Animal Crossing all day and did house bits. And I'm oh, if I had those 7 months. But yeah, just after lockdown, I'd watched Next in Fashion. If anybody watched that, Minju Kim was a huge inspiration. I just thought her style was so beautiful and fun and playful. And then my mum was like, you need to watch Sewing Bee. I can't believe you've never watched it. So I went back and watched some on iPlayer. And yeah, I was just like, hang on a minute, maybe I can do it. Why couldn't I? And my attitude for just sort of having a go was everybody used to have to sew, it was everybody learnt in school and everybody had a go. So my granny could sew, my mum makes bits of bunting and cushion covers. And I just was like, well, it's a skill, isn't it? If any technical skill you can learn if you practice it. You know, you could, there's a bit of talent involved when you get to a certain point, but you can pick up a musical instrument if you want to. We could learn bricklaying or learn to sew if you put the time and effort in. So I was like, well, I've just got to put the time in and have a go and learn. And yeah, I just absolutely, literally from that first stitch, I fell in love and became obsessed and just full steam ahead. And I think because I hadn't really researched, I wasn't like scared of anything. So I didn't realize that I should have a go with a poly cotton or a cotton. I was like, let's have a go at chiffons and laces, because I didn't know any better. And I think that was a really good way to just jump in because it just threw me into it. And I'm not saying everything was a bit of a mess, but it made me a bit fearless with it and just have a go. And that's like the advice I always give to people who are learning is just have a go. Like yes, there's rules, but if you're sewing for yourself, there's no rules at all. It's meant to be fun. It's something for you. It should be like playful. So yeah,
There's
just jumped
nobody
in.
who's like a braver sewist than a brand new beginner who
Yeah.
doesn't know what not to do.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and I think I had to go at like sewing patterns. It was a Simplicity or a Vogue one, and I remember I was like, must have been 2 hours deep, and I hadn't cut anything out yet, and I'd get to like the third word, and I'd Google what is understitch, and I didn't even realize that you meant to do right sides together. I couldn't like understand it all in my head, so that sort of put me back in terms of for like 18 months. I said I can't do sewing patterns. I'm not clever enough. It doesn't make sense. But it threw me into having a go of like cloning my own clothes, or I took this like charity shop linen Gap dress apart. I've still got the pieces of it because it's so special. I just took it apart and tried to copy it and like Googled how do I make, I didn't even know it was called gathering, like how do I bunch up fabric into a big skirt, and like just had a Google that way.
Yeah, it's so crazy, like you just don't realize like how much you don't know about anything until you like start getting into it, and then you're like, oh hang on, this is a thing, this is a thing. I don't,
Yeah.
like, and like you said about not knowing what to Google, even it is kind of quite difficult to get started, so you kind of just have to sort of hash things out yourself and sort of see how it goes.
But I always say like I'd never had a skill or a hobby before this. So I was like 26 when I learned. And the whole journey of actually learning something has been so beautiful to me because I've never stuck at anything long enough to really get into it and learn something. So like I don't ever want a new sewer to think, oh, there's no point in learning because it's going to take me years to get there. Like, no, well, for me anyway, every single garment I made was like a celebration because I didn't care. I didn't even realize that, bits were messy on the inside because to me, I'd made this dress that I could wear out the house. And that was amazing. So I just said to myself, learn one new thing with every next project. If it's, add a zip or learn how to finish an armhole in a different way or how to like thread elastic through. So then every single thing along the journey has just been like a celebration of learning something new and getting better and better. So the actual
That's a really good
learning process of
approach.
sewing is just as amazing as like that end garment where you've made something beautiful as well.
Yeah, that's really inspiring, and just like, yeah, the idea of setting yourself goals to learn new techniques is a really good idea as well.
I am a bit lazy with that, but no, if I just get an idea, I'm like, yes, I want to make this dress. So I have like let go of the one new thing with every project now, definitely. But I work in a different way of having like a long, slow projects on in the background while I like make up my ideas that I'm excited about as well. So I've always got like 6 to 10 projects on at once, which I know will stress some sewers out.
Is that just because you like to keep it fresh, and that you're just that sort of person who likes to work on different things to keep inspired?
Yeah, and I just get excited. Like I might just be sat in work one day and I'm like, oh, I've just had an idea for this fabric that's at home, or like I'll just get like an idea and I'm so excited, so I'll go and do a bit on that and then come back to a different one. That I don't know. I just like working across a lot. I think I'm like that in like a lot of ways. My working, I would never sit at work and just finish one task. I'm going to work across them all.
Yeah. I mean, in coding, it's called like parallel processing, and they reckon you can get more done if you do all the tasks at once. And
That is
probably
such a
the work.
fancy way of making it chaos sound. like planned. I'm going to take that.
It's like a parallel processing on my
Yeah.
projects. It's fine. They're all on track. So that's really crazy that you basically watched Sewing Bee, having never done any sewing, and you thought, yeah, I could apply for that. Will you teach me how to sew?
Well, it was when I applied for Sewing Bee, I'd been sewing for 2.5 years then. But I applied because I knew like I am not meant to sit behind a desk 9 to 5. I feel like chained to it. I feel suffocated. Um, and I didn't know what to do. Like I dropped out of uni a few times, and then I'd been in sales and marketing. And I was like, oh, like I always love the people I'm working with. I've always been dead lucky to have lovely jobs, but I've just always got like down about work and thought this isn't right. So my idea of applying for Sewing Bee so early on is genuinely, hand on heart, never in a million years thought I'd get on. But I was like, I can't get funding to go and study sewing, but Sewing Bee will be a crash course essentially because I'm going to have to practice and learn. And it was a crash course, and it like bolstered me up in my skills and abilities so much, and in my confidence as well, more than anything. So yeah, it really did what I wanted it to and more.
Yeah, that's incredible. Also, you get like a whole set of sewing friends as well that you can then ask about things.
Yeah, and I didn't have any sewing friends before I went on the bee because it is such a solitary thing. And I wasn't really like in the sewing community as much. I didn't really like socialize online. So it was so nice. I remember like the first time sitting down with all the bees and being like, oh my God, this is amazing. Being able to talk with like 11 other people who are equally obsessed with sewing. I'm not boring anyone, and we can talk like technical stuff, teach each other new little ways of doing things. And my head was like, oh, this is amazing. I've got sewing friends. And like that opened up like a whole new excitement of sewing for me.
Oh, that's brilliant. So Mel says, wonder what your day job is and what do they think about your sewing?
So I'm a receptionist, and I actually they're super supportive, they're lovely. I adore my colleagues. I was meant to have like a uniform when I started, and my boss was like, don't worry, we're not going to expect you to wear a uniform. Just be you. I know it's really important to you, which meant so much to me. And yeah, they take the mick out of me for like my TikToks that I post and stuff, but it's all like they're so supportive. They'll ask like, oh, how's your pickle costume coming on? And like, yeah, take an interest in it. But I do get ripped to shreds for what I'm wearing. I had an outfit on yesterday and it was quite a flamboyant one. And then I came in today in just like a green blouse and green trousers. And one of the security guards was like, how can you go from yesterday's outfit to this? And I was like, oh, guys, I can't drop for 1 minute. I was like, just let me wear a boring outfit, please. I just get ripped to shreds for it. But yeah, like ask me questions about it. It's really lovely. But it's also nice because everybody knows that my like dream is not to be a receptionist. They know that ultimately I want to work in sewing, whatever that might end up looking like. So I can chat to them and they're all super supportive about it. It's like my manager and everything. It's really nice.
I love that you said, oh, they like ripped me to shreds for my outfits. I was like, oh, I thought they got you because they said you could wear your own clothes, but no, they were just roasting you for wearing a plain outfit.
Wearing a plain outfit, yeah.
So is everyone else wearing a uniform and then you're there in your flamboyant outfits?
Yeah, so I actually work with like security people who wear uniforms, and then I just come in wearing whatever I want, and that's it's so nice that people understand. Like I get wound up like, oh, what if we making you wear a uniform one day? I'm like, no, I can't. I can never wear a uniform. I wouldn't know how to act. But yeah, everybody's like, really lovely.
Like collect a bunch of old uniforms when people like get a new one and like upcycle it, so it's still the uniform but in some like crazy reimagined way.
I like a Suzy accessorized uniform.
Yeah, it's been Suzified. Oh, that's brilliant. Let us know in the chat if you've got any questions that you want to ask Suzy about the start of her sewing journey. So have you like do you make stuff for any of your colleagues?
No, but I do make a lot for my friends. I always joke that my love language is making dresses. I love making stuff for my friends. Some of them have got loads of stuff. One of my closest friends is basically the same measurements as me, so she loves it because obviously she can wear all my stuff. But I wish there was more time to make more stuff for everyone, because I really absolutely love, and it's so nice when my friends will like text me or send me pictures, and they've like I've made them a dress for their birthday, and then like a few months later they're wearing that dress, and like, oh, I've just had so many compliments, thanks, I love this dress. And yeah, it makes me feel great that I've made them feel great and confident in something. I love it. Yeah, absolutely adore making stuff for my friends, and my mum as well. I've made a couple of bits for her and she loves it, so it's really nice.
That's really nice as well. And it's like coming full circle as well from your mum, like showing you how to use a sewing machine at the start.
Yeah, but not everybody asks me, do you not make for your husband? No, like it. I have no interest in sewing for him. It is boring to me because he's not flamboyant in his style. So there's only so far I can go with my makes for him. So he's had a tracksuit and a t-shirt, and that is it. Poor guy.
I mean, it's probably a good thing that he's not too flamboyant, because otherwise people might think there was like a parade starting or something if you walk down the street together.
Yeah, we always say there's only room for one fashion in this relationship, and I've got the fashion, so he's not allowed any.
Yeah, you're carrying all the style and he's just keeping it calm, being the grounded one. Oh, Mel says, I love how you sewed for all your family and bridesmaids and your mum. So shall we chat a little bit about your wedding sewing?
Yeah, I loved it. There was one day when I cried, and that was my wedding dress fabric was from a charity shop. So obviously I'm stuck to what I had. I made like a couple of twirls of the bodice, and then I made the bodice, but decided I wanted it shorter, so cut that actual fabric. Then I attached the skirt, which I hadn't done on the twirl, hated it. So I had to make a brand new bodice out of fabric. And then with my skirt, I decided to make a different skirt again. And then I just jigsaw pieced it together and then cut out two left back skirts. So I had to recut it, jigsaw it again. So there was lots of seams in my like back skirt pieces, but you couldn't tell because it was a busy fabric. So that was the only really stressful day. And I was genuine, like I'm embarrassed to say I was like hysterical, crying, like screaming, and I wouldn't let my husband come in the room, so he was like outside in the hall like, please babe, let me come in, I don't know what to do, can I come in? And I was like, no, you're not allowed in. So that was very dramatic, so funny when I look back now. But other than that, I absolutely loved the whole process of it all. I very strategically planned my bridesmaids dresses. I gave them two styles, but all but one went for like a mini halter neck. And I knew that having like a swing style, only three of the bridesmaids only tried their dress on for the first time at the wedding on the wedding morning. So I knew, because they're all across the country and I was only going to have 6 weeks, that I couldn't plan in loads of fittings for them. So I had to be strategic with it, and make something. I couldn't make them all, strapless corsets, because there was going to be no time for fittings. So yeah, I did do a lot of sewing, but it was strategic sewing.
So did they have to just send you their measurements and you just had to hope that that was right, and then the overall kind of loose fit of the style would do the rest?
Yeah, so I had like, I knew my size, and then I had like two of the other girls who live close by, so I knew their sizes and what I drafted and fitted to them. And then the other girls, as I got their measurements in, I could slot in between around these sizes and measurements that I had. So the length was, some of the girls like, I need it shorter, and I was like, no, I'm sorry, I can't. Like, because some of my mates are like so tall with these long beautiful legs, like, oh, can we have shorter dresses? And I was like, oh, if I do it too much shorter and you try it on a day and it's too short, we're stuck, guys. So you're only allowed it so short. I was very strict with the lengths of the dresses. They weren't having it too short.
I mean, that's probably a good idea for the dance floor later on as well.
They were great dancing dresses as well. All the girls said that. We are big, like, dancing. We're like pop music. We always say we're such losers. So on that dance floor, the bridesmaids dresses were perfect for like dancing and partying. Everyone was so comfy. Loads of the girls have reworn them already as well, which like means the world to me, because I know that they love them.
That's brilliant, because I feel like that's such a cliche thing where the bride's like, oh, don't worry, like you'll be able to wear the dress again, and then no one ever wears a bridesmaid dress again because it looks like a bridesmaid's dress, and you're like, well, I can't wear this to another wedding because it will look like I'm trying to be a
I
bridesmaid.
look like a bridesmaid, yeah.
So yeah, it's really good that you kind of came up with a design that they actually can wear elsewhere as well.
And I hope like in 10, 20 years, I want us to all wear them because I've made myself one because I felt left out. Um, I was already making 8, so why not make 9? So I really want us to wear them all together one day as well because I hope I hate the word timeless because who cares? Like if it looks good and feels good, it looks good whenever if you feel good in it. But I'm hoping like in 10, 20 years they'll still feel great in them and we can try them on again.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's like going with something. So earlier you were talking about being interested in fashion, but more like sort of personal style rather than following trends. And I feel like that's sort of what you've done with your wedding outfits as well. You've just chosen things that are timeless because they're not following a particular trend. So people aren't going to look at that and think, oh, that's like 2025, that
Yeah.
dress, that
Although
micro trend.
I did get a few people saying, "Oh, puffball, isn't that like a trend?" I'm like, "Yes, it is a trend, but I just love a puffball. I think it's so fun and playful. It's really, I do a lot of puffball skirts. So I was like, I don't care if it was in trend when I got married. I don't feel it'll ever look in or out of trend. Sorry, I keep doing this because I just hate the whole perception of trends. It's so stupid to me. But yeah, I was thinking with my dress how it's a bit plain in terms of, I've got a very basic corset. I wanted clean lines because I have the pattern on. And then I knew I do a high-low hem and a puff ball. They're like really common things that you'll see in a lot of my designs, but it just felt me. And so many people was shocked that I wore white. But even though at first I was going to wear fuchsia, I was like, I don't know if you get this, like I really wanted to feel bridal. And to me, that was wearing like a veil and like wearing a big white dress because even if I was to go to like a really fancy ball, you're never going to really wear a big white dress because then it looks bridal. So I knew I wanted a big white dress.
So did you have that fabric that you thrifted in your stash for a long time before the wedding?
I got it when Sewing Bee was airing last year, so I'd had it for around a year. And yeah, and it just sat, I'd like put it at the back of a wardrobe, which I knew my husband was never going to look in because it's a wardrobe of fabric. But I was so scared it had to be back. And every like few weeks, I'd just go in and look at it and get that excited about it. It's so
So
sad.
when you first saw that fabric, you were like, this could be a wedding dress fabric.
Sort of, but I thought it would be for my Vegas wedding dress. And then because I thought, oh, I'll wear white in Vegas and I'll wear pink in the UK. And then as I had it, there was 2 pieces of the fabric in the charity shop and I just got one. And I was driving home and I looked at it on the seat next to me and I was like, what am I doing? This is my wedding dress fabric. Why I love it that much. Why am I not having it for like my big wedding? So I went to the shop knowing as though someone was going to go and buy it. Like it had shut by this time because I'd gone back to work and took it home. And then in the morning, I was waiting at 5 to 9 outside that charity shop so that nobody else could get that piece of fabric. And I got it. It
We're
would
just there in the
probably sat
charity
there for
shop, like,
weeks anyway.
yes, yes. And they were like, it's okay. Like, no one's looked at that at all. And you were like, I got it first.
Yeah, like the crazy lady's back again for more fabric.
That's brilliant. So do you have any like tips for sort of thrifting fabric or finding things to upcycle?
um my tip, people always ask me, oh, how do you find such good fabrics? And probably really annoying advice is that you just have to go quite often because there are so many times that I'll go and get nothing. And I've got a collection of them that I've been building over the last like 4 years. But I do, if I get so excited about my curtains. I've had like beautiful dead stock Oscar de la Renta fabric, but nothing makes me as excited because I'm a bargain hunter. Like I've always gone to charity shops my whole life. Nothing is as good. I don't care if it's, Oscar de la Renta silk. If I find an amazing pair of curtains in the charity shop for £8, that is the most exciting fabric. And I've got to like it immediately jumps straight to the top of my sewing list. Everything will go on hold so that I can sew those curtains or that bedding. But I don't know. I think part of it is knowing I've got a bargain and like that. People, I think sewers will get this. Like people are like, wow, that was curtains. I'm like, yeah, curtains are just fabric. They just have a few extra like stitches at the top we need to take out, and then it is just fabric. So it's not. I don't do loads of upcycling in terms of getting old clothes and upcycling them. So curtains is a lot easier, really. It's not upcycling it, it's just secondhand fabric, if you like, really. But yeah, you've got to go and commit to it, and just don't dismiss any straight away as well. That would be my other piece of advice, because there's been some that I've not got, and then I've just gone home and like can't sleep because I'm thinking about them, and go back and get them. So like, take your time in the charity shops.
Yeah, have a look and
Spend
see what.
loads of time and take loads of time. That's my advice.
Amazing. Now, Jen says, are you drinking a massive Aperol spritz in that glass?
I wish it was. It's a school night.
I think that's Jen Leg just trying to stir up trouble.
I imagined it would be Jen Leg. Hi, Jen.
Yeah, so I mean, with the curtain fabric as well, you've got quite a lot of structure to play with there as well, if you want to make like big shapes in your garments.
So that's one of, I'll be completely honest, I didn't start using charity shop like curtains completely for sustainability. I knew that was a great part of it, but for me it was the like economic side. So I knew that I could get these like super heavy curtains, and when I was like looking at fabric, I've never given myself a huge budget for fabric. I'm quite tight, to be honest. Like, if I'm completely honest, if there's fabric I love, I'll only get it if I've got like a code or it's on sale. I haven't got the biggest budget for it ever. So knowing that I could get like these huge pairs of curtains and get all this amazing heavy fabric, which otherwise could be super expensive, you know, like Laura Ashley style, that was again such a thrill to me. I'm getting a bargain, but I otherwise couldn't have potentially afforded to get that kind of fabric as well. So it was sort of born from that. Also, just my love of getting to go charity shopping, because as soon as I started sewing, I said to myself, you're not allowed to buy any clothes. If you want clothes, you make them. And that's another way that I've got better at sewing quickly. So it allowed me to still get to go shopping and buy stuff in charity shops. But yeah, my favourite finds will be like big, heavy curtains. I love bedding sets if it's got the two sides to it, so that you can alternate and play with them as well. But nothing for me beats like a big embroidered or like brocade type curtain, or just a heavyweight fabric, because I can make big fun dresses and just play with the texture. And it makes it easier for you to make those big shapes. You have to it does a lot of the work for you, a lot of the time, fabric.
Yeah, you don't have to do as much like interfacing and stuff because it's already got that weight and structure built in.
Yeah, although I do interface. I must single-handedly keep the interfacing business going sometimes. Like, I interface everything, like more structure, more shape.
Amazing. So how is your stash now? Because obviously with the charity shopping, you kind of have to get it when you see it. So does that mean you've kind of accumulated quite a collection?
So I recently rearranged so I'm constantly I'm super lucky to have this room. But I'm constantly thinking of ways to upgrade it, because as much as it's like a space that I love to sit in and relax, and it's my happy place, it is a working space now. So I keep thinking, oh no, this could be better for storage and whatever. So I use the Kallax from IKEA. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 8 cubes here next to me, and then that back one over there, that is all curtains and charity shop stuff. So that's how I like organize it. That's all secondhand. And then this is currently all my fabrics, which I'm planning to sew for Japan. 8 Kallax cubes of it. So I don't know how much
Gonna need a
luggage
big
I'm planning.
suitcase.
But no, 4 of the cubes, to be fair, is like my big fabric. So I've got like my big velvets or my coating fabrics, and then I've got a lot of French terry, because I have a lot of like tracksuits and chill clothes planned. So it is actually 4 of it plus for storage on top. And then I've got another 2 Kallax here, which I've put the feet on because I'm only 5'3.5". So with the feet on it, it's like the right height to be a cutting table on me when I'm stood up. So in half of it, I've got it's semi-organized. Like, one is interfacing, one's linings, one's stretches, one's like chiffons and satins, really lightweight fabrics. And then the other side, I've got like a box of trims. I've got a couple of boxes of like scraps. So it is semi-organized. It's organized chaos, you call it, right? Like, if you ask me to find a fabric, I'd know where it is. So
Yeah,
I'd say that's
very
organized.
then.
Yeah,
that's ideal.
What more do you want?
So how long are you going to be in Japan for? Like, how many outfits can you do you realistically need?
I'm there for 3 weeks, but I am actually being quite practical in a lot of my makes. Like, I'm really, now that I've got so many, because my love is making like a big dress, or co-ords is my thing at the minute, because with co-ords I can wear the trousers to work, or wear the top with like a different pair of trousers. So if I would never just make a top, I'm always making a co-ord, and then I can wear them together, mix and match. But now that I've got 4.5 years worth, well, maybe a bit less, because the first year or so isn't as good now, but because I've got this like whole bank of stuff that I've been dead excited about, I have recently been making more like comfy stuff. So I spend so much time in my sewing room. I want to make stuff like a hoodie, but this is satin hoodie, or like elasticated cotton trousers with a matching oversized top, so that I'm comfy at home, but equally I can go nip out to the shops and I still feel me and put together in it. So yeah,
So
I
those will
have
be
brought that into my Japan wardrobe. I've got a few tracksuits cut out, but Suzy
nice.
tracksuits.
Yeah, and then you can feel like, like comfy, but also like you when you're like traveling and on the plane and stuff.
Yeah, because I do. It is. I like worry that it sounds a bit vain, but if I am not dressed me, I don't feel as confident. I don't feel me. I think a lot of sewers get that. It feels like, so I think it must be how I express my personality, and it helps me to be more myself in a room and gives me that confidence. So as soon as that's taken away from me, I do like not get more shy, because I'm very extroverted, but it is a bit weird to not feel you. It's like part of my armor, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I guess if you've got like a big outfit, you need to like you've got that big personality to sort of match the outfit, and like you know you've got that way to carry yourself. Whereas if you don't have the outfit, you're a bit like, oh, what am I
Yeah.
doing? Like,
Don't get me wrong, like you'll see when I'm recording videos and chatting, I love my big hoodies. I only have a few, like I just wear in rotation, and I've always got like comfy pants on around the house. But I just always have to feel me, and I feel so alien if I've not got something. If I've got something that I've not made now, it feels crazy. But I'm really proud to have got to that point, to have like a nearly 100% me made wardrobe, because that's what I told myself I had to do when I got a sewing machine 4.5 years ago. And if you told me that I would be in that position, I know that I'd be so proud of me for doing it,
yeah,
because I never stick
when
to
you were
anything. I
like
never do it.
when you bought that sewing machine and you were like, I'm all in, I'm sewing all my clothes, and like I'm gonna learn a new thing on every project, and then you're like, yeah, actually I did that past Suzy.
Yeah.
You're like, oh wow, like I was just going all in just to like give it a go.
But like I've never stuck to anything like that before. I tried like every type of dancing, every hobby when I was a kid, and bless my parents for just going, yeah, you can try everything, have a go. So to finally at 26 find something that I actually love is like such a big feat. Yeah, proud.
Yeah, that's amazing. And also it just shows that like you can like get into something like whenever, because like a lot of these stash chats I've had with people, like not everyone's sewn, since they were a kid. Some people just like, they just suddenly get into sewing at any age. So you can,
Mhm.
it's not like, oh well, I didn't get a hobby in my early 20s, so now I guess I don't have one. Like it's like, well, you can get one. Like you just find what you're
Yeah.
interested in.
And have a go at everything that's part of it as well. Like I say, I was on Animal Crossing for months. That was my hobby for a while. I tried everything, like all the. I used to always say I'm not creative, because I'd tried every. I must have known inside that I wanted to do something creative, but I swore down I wasn't creative. But I just hadn't found my way of expressing my creativity, I guess. You got to try. You're not gonna find your thing unless you have a go and try them. And that part of the fun is trying everything.
Yeah, definitely. Did you never do any kind of sewing lessons at school?
I think in year seven, we did like a term of sewing, and I can't even tell you. Maybe we did like a cushion cover, but I went into product design tech, and so yeah. But I didn't like cooking, and I love cooking now. That is my escape from sewing. When, believe it or not, this does like sometimes I get bored of it. But yeah, I never did any like arts, drama, nothing. I was very like a bit more academic, really, in terms of like I loved history and English and stuff like that. I just didn't think I was a creative person. But I think
Mm.
at school you're told that creativity is like, oh well, if you can't do painting or pottery, then you're not an arty person.
Yeah, and also I think like with creative subjects at school, sometimes they can be like your creativity is quite reined in by like having to follow the curriculum, so you can't just do like whatever you want. You have to make this cushion cover and you have to show this skill and this skill, even if like you're like, well, that's going to ruin the whole look of it if I put an iron on piece of vinyl on the front. And they're like, oh, but you have to do it to get the grade. So it's not the same as being able to make whatever you want.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I don't regret not learning any earlier, because I think that if I had of, and like you say, I would have been pushed into, even if I went and studied at uni, I don't think that necessarily would have been the right thing to do, because if I had to, write down, oh, I've got my inspiration from here, and I remember having to do that in tech, and it's like, oh, I don't know, I'd like, and then I'd have to go back and pretend, oh, I've looked at Gaudi's buildings and that's why I've made this coaster. Like, and I don't think I'd have necessarily enjoyed studying fashion either. The technical stuff, yeah, definitely. Like, I wish I could have studied like pattern making, but I'm doing it now anyway. So yeah, I don't regret not learning any earlier, because otherwise I won't be here, and I'm really happy with where I am now.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, we've got some comments in the thing. Adele says, just wanted to say Suzy's so refreshing with her enthusiasm and honesty.
Oh, thank you.
That's brilliant. And Mel says, you've got such amazing ideas and are so spontaneous. Do you have a notebook on your bedside for ideas?
So my old manager, I do struggle with my anxiety a lot. And I've always been really lucky in my corporate career, even though I'm not a corporate person. I've always had amazing managers who've just got me and been so understanding, and been like, yeah, you're an artist, you can be chaotic and emotional, it's fine, just be super emotional. So one of my old bosses said to me, you need to have, because I'd come in some mornings crying stress, and I shouldn't be stressed. And she was like, you have to have a notebook by your bed. So there's like some nights when I will just lay in bed and I've just got ideas going and going in my head. But at the minute I've been, so because I've been working full time, and then I'll like come in and sew from like 6 till 10 or 11, I am conked out on the sofa at like 11 o'clock, fall asleep on the sofa every night after I finish sewing. So luckily at the minute I am able to sleep because I'm so exhausted. But yeah, I used to always have a notebook by my bed, thanks to, that was my boss's advice, but more in terms of like when you're feeling anxious and worried, write things down. But yeah, luckily now I'm just too tired to even stay up worrying at night, which is great.
I mean, yeah, that's one way to avoid it.
Yeah.
Jen says, I'm the same, just go for it in terms of like learning to sew, doing a new hobby. Fabric speaks to you. Yeah, that's great. Like just going and feeling all the fabrics in the shop to get some new ideas. Oh, you're really inspiring people in the chat today, Suzy. This is amazing.
Oh.
Vicky says, just wanted to say thanks for inspiring me to get my sewing machine out again.
Oh, yay. I'm glad. I love it when people are like, oh, I've got my sewing machine out after like X amount of years. And I'm like, honestly, I think that sometimes, because people have had a really bad experience, so many people tell me, oh, my sewing teacher told me I was useless, I couldn't do it when we were in school, or they'd had a project that had gone incredibly wrong. And I think, like, when they come back to it after years, it's so nice to hear people say like, oh, I just had a go, or like they found fabric that they love that has excited them so much that they've had to get back into sewing, or like a new sewing patterns come out and they found a dress that they're just compelled to try and make. So yeah, if anybody's listening who has stopped sewing because you had a bad experience, like just pick, like so many people tell me they've picked it up again and are loving it now. So give it a chance. I sound like I'm like pushing.
Yeah, you must
sewing on
do your
everyone.
sewing. Yeah, but like the stakes are pretty low, right? Like, you can get your sewing machine out, give something a go. If it doesn't work out, that's fine. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Like you're being creative, you're expressing yourself, just have a go and see what happens.
Maybe it's me not being like a perfectionist in a lot of ways, that it would never like bother me if something wasn't perfect, because like I said before, like you've made it, and I hope other people feel like this, but just knowing that you have made that with your own bare hands, it still like amazes me sometimes to this day when I look at something and go, "Ah, wow, this morning that was just a flat piece of fabric, and now it's like this big boned dress that like a matching hat." And I just stand back and I'm like, but I'm so proud that I had none of these skills. I've taught myself these skills. I've put in the hours to do it. And that alone is just, I think, like such a beautiful thing as a human. Like we want to feel like being proud of ourselves and learning new things. So yeah, I genuinely say, like, I know everybody's going to have different hobbies and different things they're into, but I want all like my friends to be able to feel that joy that I've got from like this whole new ability that's come from literally nothing. I want everyone to feel how great it feels.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I was watching this video from Tomcat Stitchery the other day, and one of the quotes that she said that I thought was really good was that like nobody is born like being amazing at sewing. Like it's a learned skill.
Mm-hmm.
So you know everything that you can do you have learned that. And I think people like we can be really hard on ourselves as sewists and like look at things and say, oh, you know, that seam that's like 3 millimeters off, or I messed up the pattern matching, or you know the fit could be slightly improved, or whatever. But for most people they've got no idea how
Mm-hmm.
garments even come together. So you know the fact that you've taken a flat piece of fabric and made it into something like three-dimensional that you can wear is like insane, really.
And also, I think it's really important to remember when you're sewing something for yourself, nobody else knows what it was meant to like be like if it does go wrong, or I hate saying wrong as well. So many of my favorite garments have come from I've just had no idea where I'm going and I just sew, and then it's a happy accident. So like, oh, I cut the skirt backwards so it's got this asymmetric hem instead of a different one, or like, oh, the neck, I've had to gather the neck in because it was never meant to be like that. And it can end up being some of like the things that you learn so much more from your mistakes. I like will die on that hill. It's so important to make your mistakes. But also nobody, if you wear that dress out to the pub, nobody in that pub knows that it was meant to have a different skirt on it or whatever. So like don't be so harsh on yourself, because nobody is going to be looking at your inside seams or whatever. Like if you at the beginning of your journey and it's not perfect, no one will have any idea.
Yeah, exactly. And if it doesn't go to plan, just say, oh, it's a design feature.
I
Asymmetric
literally
hem,
do that
it's a
all the
design
time.
feature.
Yeah. It's how I've got some of my favorite design features, like a lot of like asymmetry in some of my first dresses. I like say like gathered necks. I posted one recently and the skirt went wrong, the sleeves went wrong, the hem of the top went wrong, and the neck of the top went wrong. And then it became one of my favorite outfits I've done recently.
I mean, that's incredible perseverance to keep going after every element didn't go as expected.
It was touch and go, I'll be honest. It was nearly out the window, but I stayed strong.
That's amazing. Do you have any fabrics that you want to show us from your stash?
Yeah, I've got a couple. So Yvette sent me some notes, and she said some ideas that you could bring as the oldest thing in your stash, which was really fun to go out and find. And I knew straight away. So one of my greatest skills, and I wish I could transfer this into some way of like having a career, but everything in my wardrobe, every fabric, I know like when I got it, where I got it from, how much it cost, and like what like month it was. If only that was a useful skill, but oh well. Um, but the first fabric, so when I learned, so we have amazing fabric shops in Liverpool, and I'd seen like some plissé trousers. Um, oh, is that gone?
No, I've just put
Please.
you on full
Oh,
screen.
oh, sorry. So I really wanted some plissé, and this is such a beautiful, rich berry colour. So I've still got that. It's the first fabric shop I ever did, and with it, this is what I was talking about before about having no idea what fabrics you meant to start with, and then from the fabric bin outside Abercan, I got this beautiful chiffon, which was £1. I think there's probably a meter of this, maybe a little, yeah, about a meter. So I forgot about that, but they were still together, so I'll definitely be using this. So they're the first. I have used a lot of the other fabric that I got on that trip, but we're super lucky because Abercan in Liverpool is really good value. So I was able to get like loads of stuff for like £30 on my first shop. So yeah, they are from my first ever fabric shop in Abercan, and I probably will knock up some comfy trousers from them. I made my sister-in-law, she was pregnant, so I made her some or she'd just given birth maybe, dungarees out of like a green plissé, and I've got them here. And they are the worst sewn thing. I wish I'd brought them down actually to show you, because they are horrendous. And I was so proud of them. Bless her. I doubt she ever wore them. But it's so funny. There's big long threads hanging, but I was so proud of it. And now I look at it, I'm like, I was so brave to just go and make a pair of plissé self-drafted dungarees for someone else, from my first fabric shop. So yeah, that's left from that. But I think I'll still use them. There's another thing you said to me was about like, is there anything I'd de-stash? And I was looking through, and I said every single fabric I came to, I'm like, no, but I could still use that. I'd use it for this. And I think, even though I do have a lot of fabric, and I will buy a lot of fabric, I know I'm very sure in knowing what I like, and I have ideas for it. So I like to challenge myself sometimes, if it's like an ugly fabric. I actually made something grey recently, my first ever grey thing that just happens to be here. I've never ever made anything grey. So I challenged myself to make something grey, which has been really fun, and I love how it's come out. But I've never made anything black, so that is next on my challenges. I want to make a black outfit because I've never done it.
That's pretty impressive for like 4.5 years of sewing to never do anything black.
I've that is a little lie. I've made one black puff sleeve blouse, actually, which I do wear for work. But I mean, like an outfit I'm really excited about. That was out of necessity for a job interview. So I want to make like a black dress or cord, something that I love, because I feel like the only way to improve at things is to challenge yourself. Like we say, your comfort zone's the most dangerous place you can be. Sorry if I've paraphrased that wrong. So that's why I try and challenge myself to like keep learning and like using fabrics I wouldn't usually use as a way of challenging myself.
That's really cool. And that's amazing that your stash is so inspiring as well, that you can't think of like a single thing that you're like, oh, I've only got this because I can't be bothered to get rid of it. Like everything.
But I probably should do that. My husband would disagree. Like, well, you can definitely get rid of all this fabric. But I don't know, I get emotionally attached to it. It's really sad. But even there was like a tie-dye jersey upstairs, and I was like, oh, Suzy, you ever going to use this? And I was like, yeah, next time I go to a festival, I'll definitely use that. I have no festival planned, but like every fabric I came to, I was like, I can think of an idea for when I might use this. So ask me again in a few years, and if I've still got those fabrics, I'll be like, right, I need to de-stash them. It's time.
Yeah, if you've accumulated too many new fabrics so that they're kind of getting pushed out, the old ones.
Yeah, my problem is like my sewing speed goes like this because you can only sew so much, but my shopping speed goes a bit like this. So eventually we're going to get to a point and the fabrics can overtake the house, and then there'll be angry words, I'm sure.
Have you got most of your fabric and sewing stuff like contained within the sewing room at the moment?
No. We have in the spare bedroom, it's an ottoman bed, so that is full, and then the only thing not in there, so this is a big stash, it's really embarrassing actually, the only other thing is I've got some big blankets that I've got from charity shops, and they're in a wardrobe, but there's only like 4. I've got a chartreuse velvet quilted blanket that I'm going to make a coat out of this year, and that is just enormous. That takes up half a wardrobe, and then a couple of like beautiful floral quilted ones, which, to be fair, I probably should de-stash those because they're not really my style anymore, and I wouldn't myself wear like a floral quilted jacket. But when I do pop-up shops every so often, and the way I'll do those is I'll make either like a extra small to an extra large, because obviously I can only make one thing, and it's always out of my charity shop fabrics, and people really like the quilted ones. So that's my other problem, is I can't de-stash any of that because I'm like, oh no, I can use it for my pop-up shops, and somebody else could love this.
It after it's made.
yeah exactly. I'm like, well, somebody else could love this more than me, so I need to make it into something for this made up imaginary customer.
And I guess as well, like thrifted stuff, it was already like unwanted, so you've kind of rescued that, and then you're like, oh, if I took it back to the charity shop, it might not get used like for its intended purpose because it's out of style or people don't use quilts or whatever. Be like, if I make a quilted jacket, those are super popular and people could then really treasure that item.
Yeah, exactly. That's why, like, and I enjoy making them as well. Again, because it's a bit of a challenge. It can be hard work, and like doing a binding on them, I really enjoy doing those. But yeah, I've definitely got better at when I go into charity shops. I'm much more, I know more now what I will and won't use. So where in the beginning I'd just buy like everything because it's like, oh, £3 for a double like duvet cover. But now I'm much more what's the word? Restrictive with myself. I'll only buy stuff either that I really love so much that I don't want to make anything for my pop-up shops because I want it for myself. Or like it's if I have an immediate idea of like, oh, this is going to make X, Y, and Z perfectly, and then I go home and sew it up, then I'm allowed to have it. Or else we would be swimming in fabric.
Yeah. Mel says, are there some garments that you would just rather buy than make?
Knickers. I don't wear bras because I'm not blessed in the chest. So yeah, knickers, socks, and that's it. I've even made my first bikini because I was like, no, why would I was going to buy a bikini because I didn't have one that fit me, and I thought, hang on, no, I can absolutely make that. I sew with lycra all the time, making unitards. Yeah, there's no other clothes that I bought in like 4 years, just knickers and socks. I'm really proud of that as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, Mel says for her it's underwear as well. So
Yeah,
it's
I'll be honest. I know some sewers are like they post like they've made these beautiful like knickers, and I think there's no joy in that for me. No, like this is so intricate, and I maybe I'll try it one day and I'll change my mind. But it's just I've had no desire to ever bother making underwear.
yeah, and I guess with the like with your angle on sewing being a lot about self-expression, and then sort of spending quite a lot of your precious sewing time on making like underwear that no one's going to be able to see is a bit of a downer.
Yeah, I can't show them off, so what's the point?
Just have to like wear them on the outside like Superman, like, look, I made these pants.
Yeah, that could be my next thing to trial, see if that works, my style.
Yeah, start a new trend of like outside underwear.
I have actually brought something from my stash, which I'd like some advice on, because I feel like this could be controversial. So, my granny used to sew, and she was amazing, but she passed away when I was 18, so way before I ever sewed. And I've got her blanket from her stash. It looks a bit dull on here, but it's actually a lot more vibrant because of the lighting. So it's got like chartreusey green, orange, yellow, and brown. And I've always planned that I want to make it into a coat, use a big like orange or green, whatever color contrast looks best, blanket stitch. But loads of my friends have said, I think you should keep it as a blanket, Suzy. But I know, like, if my granny was here to know that I was sewing and I turned her, and by the way, this was not a special blanket to it. It's covered in cigarette burns because she used to smoke. So that makes it even more special, like, because it reminds me of my granny. But yeah, loads of people are saying I shouldn't. My friends think that I should because it's got the original blanket stitch on some of it. It's even got like raw hems on bits where it's been cut. So I really want to make it into a jacket, I think. But
Yeah.
my friend's very torn on this.
Well, let us know in the chat if you're thumbs up for the coat or if you think keeper's blanket. So far, we've got 2 votes for coat from Jen and Adele. Yeah, Tina says definitely make a coat as well. Yeah, I think if you do you ever use it as a blanket?
I do,
Or
yeah.
do you
And it
just have
matches. Our living room is green and orange. But it's not going to be green and orange forever. But this is I've had this obviously since I was 18, and I've been too scared to sew it because it is so special. And I know, like, if it was any other fabric, I'd have cut it up straight away, and I know I can make the coat. But it's like I really do only have one of this. So this is probably like like I say, it's covered in cigarette burns, but it's still like my most special fabric because it's the only fabric I have from my granny, who like it's our sewing connection. So yeah, really special. But I think I might wait a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna still be. You can still make it a coat in like a couple of years' time. You know, and you can keep it as a blanket in the meantime. Like it's not going anywhere. The chat is very pro coat. So yeah,
I'm asking the right people.
Coat. Yeah. Jan says make a coat, and then if you've got scraps, you could make them into a quilt. Adele says you've got the skills to make the coat. Mel says coat definitely.
Oh, thanks, guys. This is what I
Yeah.
wanted to hear.
Yeah, so everyone's pro coat, so we're not gonna put you on blast for cutting the blanket. If you're gonna make it a coat, we'll all be like, yes, the coat's happening.
But yeah, that is definitely my, I suppose, oldest piece of mustache as well. What I'm most scared to cut up, and my most special, really, my most sentimental one.
Yeah, amazing.
But when I said to Mum, I was like, "Oh, Mum, it's too special. I don't know if I can cut it up." And she was like, "It's covered in cigarette burns. It's old. It's horrible. Why would you not just make a coat?" And I was like, "No, because it's Granny's." But she just didn't see the sentimental aspect.
Yeah, Natalie says when you wear the coat, it will be like a hug from your granny.
Oh yeah, I really like that. Right, you've sold me, guys. Thank you. It's gonna be a coat. I'll add it to my Japan sewing list and take it with me. The ever-growing Japan list.
The largest capsule wardrobe that's ever been made. Do you have any kind of theme for your Japan wardrobe, or are you just making things you're excited about?
Just all the fabrics that I've been saving, because it was an 8-week break where I couldn't sew anything else when I was wedding sewing, but it felt like eternity. So all these fabrics that I've been accumulating, all these ideas that I didn't sew, have all come. And then there's ones like I bought some of these fabrics I got last October, which is only a year ago, but all the ones that I've been saving that I've been most excited about. And it's I would sew them anyway. I'm just like, right, I like to give myself a target to aim for. So it doesn't even matter that we're going to Japan. It's just nice when I'm away. I don't know. I feel like sewers get this. When you take a case of me maids on holiday, it's terrifying when that case goes off. Oh, that is the worst moment ever. But it just feels so nice on holiday having like new makes that you've not worn before. Something really special about it.
Also, you can get good pictures on holiday. And I feel like people are like your significant others potentially more willing to take nice pictures, because you're like, take a picture of me in front of this amazing scenery, but actually it's take a picture of my outfit. And they're like, why do you need 3 outfits a day, Suzy? And you're like, oh well, we might go somewhere different and you might have to take another picture.
We are really lucky with Japan though, because just standard with the flights, it's 2 23-kilo cases each, so like 46 kg. So I'm just going to take one case, and then there's no way my husband's going to fill a case of shopping. So I'm seeing it as I've got my case of my clothes and I've got 2 cases to bring back. I don't even know what everybody just keeps saying. You're going to need cases. Like, you don't underestimate how much stuff you're going to want in Japan. And obviously, apparently when we were in New York and I was fabric shopping, they were saying that generally in Europe, in our fabric shops, we tend to get more from like Pakistan and Turkey and around that area, whereas when we're in New York, they were saying, "No, our fabric might be different to what you're used to, because we get a lot of ours from the Far East." This was just what I was told in one of the shops. So I don't know how true. Don't quote me on this. So I know there will be a lot of different fabrics in Japan that I'm not used to here, but I'm not bringing 46 kilos of fabric back. Don't worry, I can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, you'll have to see how full all your cases are once you've done all your Japan sewing.
The best thing I've seen online that I really want to get in Japan is in one of the fabric shops. It's like printed out onto the piece of fabric, like the pattern pieces. You just cut around them, but you can get them in like the shape of a pot noodle, and then you sew it up. It makes a pot noodle handbag. And they have different ones for like vegetables. And I thought, that is what I want from Japan. I've never seen that anywhere else. And that's like number 1 on my shopping list. So I can make a Japanese pot noodle handbag.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah. I'll bring them back for everyone. We can all have pot noodle bags.
Yeah. Well, you can get like ones for all your friends, and you can have a different flavor of pot noodle each.
Yeah.
And just like walk down the street and see if anyone notices.
We put them on with our bridesmaids dresses. We look well cool. Yeah.
And the colours will stand out against the monochrome. Oh, it's amazing. You could buy your husband lots of presents in Japan. He looks like a top bloke. That's from Chad. Is that your husband?
Yeah, that's my husband. If it wasn't obvious.
Amazing. I see if he picks any exciting fabrics that inspires you to sew something for him.
What's that, sorry?
See if Chad finds any exciting fabrics in Japan that might inspire you to sew something for him.
Christian's very like, so my husband, it's really interesting because obviously he's an on, so when I will force him into a fabric shop with me, I always find it really interesting how differently he'll look at fabric. So like when I'm with Jen, me and Jen are towards like bright patterns and colors and textures, and we'd know what fabric each other likes. And I find it so interesting because my husband will be like, oh, what's this fabric? And I'm like, that's toweling, like you can make towels from it. And he's like, wow, like I loved like the texture of it. And then he found bamboo toweling and his head fell off because he was all about like the soft fabrics, whereas I would just never go into that in a shop. And it was so interesting seeing all the stuff like he'd go over to and pick, and like obviously dinosaur print polycottons and stuff. It was just really cute to like see him in a fabric shop looking around having no idea.
That's funny. Yeah, like Doug's, my husband Doug is like really into like the feel of fabrics as well, and like super soft fabrics. So he'll love like, you know, like a really nice like viscose jersey or something like that. And he's like, oh, this is like a really you know, this is a nice one because it's so soft.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe that's like a boys thing, or maybe it's just unique to them. I don't know.
Just our husbands, yeah.
Do a survey, yeah. When you go with your partner to a fabric shop, what do they look at?
He has taught me something about fabric actually, because Christian will only wear, he lives in a lot of like hoodies and tracksuits, and he'll only wear like loop back, is French terry, loop back terry. And now, after realizing that, so having to like find good quality ones to make him tracksuits, I will only use that. Or if I'm doing a scuba tracksuit, a bit different. If I'm doing like a really comfy chill tracksuit, I will only use like a nice quality loop back terry. So, and that has come from his influence. So you can get your inspiration from the weirdest of places.
Yeah, amazing. All right, that's been like a whole hour of chatting. That's gone so quickly.
Yeah, so quick. Sorry, I've not shut up.
No, it's been amazing. I feel like you've shared so many like nuggets of wisdom and like encouragement for people. So hopefully Vicky's getting her sewing machine out right now, and everyone else is feeling fired up too. But yeah, thanks so much for coming on, Suzy.
No, thanks for having me. It's been great. Yeah, I hope I like you'll be the same with that. We could sit here and chat till 2 a.m. if we're talking about fabric and sewing. So yeah, you'd never shut me up. But thanks for having me. It's been great.
Yeah, thanks everyone for joining in the chat as well, especially Chad Magic.
Oh, don't encourage him with that.
But yeah, it's been really good fun, and yeah, I hope you've had fun getting to know Suzy and finding out a bit more about her sewing journey and stash. So yeah, I'll be back again same time next week, 8 p.m. UK time, chatting to another amazing sewist. So I think next week I'm talking to Anae, who is so into that on Instagram. So yeah, thank you so much for joining, and thanks again, Suzy.
Thank you. Thanks for all your lovely questions, and enjoy your sewing. I'm so excited to hear what everyone starts making.
Yeah, let us know in the comments under the video what you've been inspired to make by Suzy. That would be really good. All right, see you later. Bye.
See you later. Bye bye.